What is going on, everyone? How about that for the Bulls home opener? That was the Bulls team that we wanted to see in their last game against the Pistons, but every team needs to go through their first game jitters, and it's always great to have the home crowd on your side. The Bulls improved to 2-0, and yes, remain undefeated if you also factor in the preseason as well. And the Bulls will be right back at it tomorrow at the UC going against the Pistons yet again. But for this video, we'll be talking about the game that just wrapped up this evening. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, this game didn't start out that great. Similar to what we kind of saw from the last game, the Bulls defense was great, but their offense was a little lost at times. And actually, I kind of take that back. Their offense was organized in terms of ball movement and execution of plays. They just couldn't finish and convert on their shots, but that was really only for the first 6 minutes or so. After that, the Bulls were finally hitting their shots, particularly from outside. They were moving quickly in transition, not really something that we saw much in the game against the Pistons. And also, unlike what we saw in Detroit, the guys just seemed more energized. They were faster in terms of their overall pace on offense, which I think that helps when you have the hometown crowd on your side. And the Pistons, despite being a bad team, they are a better defensive team than the Pelicans are, which slowed down the Bulls in transition. How about Zach Lavine, though? I mean, the dude just goes scoreless in the first 18 minutes and then closes out the first half in the last 6 minutes, putting up 20 points. The guy just could not miss. And look, the key thing about Zach, not scoring at all in the first quarter was that you had someone like DeRozan to step up on the scoring front and finish the quarter with 10 points, which gave the Bulls enough to finish the quarter with the lead. Last season, if Lavine goes scoreless in the first quarter, the Bulls are likely already getting blown out. That's the beauty of having multiple elite scorers on your team to step up and take on the offensive load when other guys' shots aren't falling. It ended up not really mattering anyway, since Lavine was just on nonstop fire from that scoring drought on. And really, after that first quarter, the Bulls never looked back and dominated the game from there. The Pelicans made a few runs to bring it within 12, a couple of times, but as soon as the fourth quarter began, the Bulls just took over and did it without most of their starters. It's funny because I believe it was Casey Johnson who tweeted that the starters admitted in practice that the reserves make them work hard and show them up in practice most of the time. And what I also loved about the fourth quarter, well, really most of the game, this was the case anyway, but the excitement and the smiles that the guys had throughout this game, just going out there and having fun and playing their butts off, and it led to a Bulls blowout win. Zach Lavine, like I mentioned, didn't score in the first quarter, but then balled out from there. 32 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on 11 for 19 shooting, 6 for 9 from 3. He did have 6 of the Bulls' total 14 turnovers, though, which hopefully we will see less of that, but I'll take it with everything else that he does on the court. What I love seeing from Lavine so far in this short season and in the preseason is there just seems to be a different demeanor about him. Like, Lavine was always a confident player, but it's a different kind of confidence this time around in the sense that he knows what to do in order for this team to be his team, and even with the higher expectations, he's showing he knows what to do when it comes to taking over the game when he needs to and when to defer to other players. DeMar DeRozan, a great game, better than what we saw last time around, which wasn't a bad game for him against the Pistons. He was much more efficient and was getting more involved in pushing the pace and playmaking in the half court. He finished the game with 26 points on 9 for 20 shooting, got to the foul line a good amount of times. He also put up 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Then how about Lonzo Ball? Not just his first triple-double in a Bulls uniform. I'm sure we'll see plenty more of those throughout the year. He goes 17, 10, and 10, but it's not just offensive numbers. It's also what he's been able to do in his hard-nosed perimeter defense, his help defense on guys rotating in the paint. He also had 3 steals and a block tonight. Loved what I saw from Lonzo, even though his shooting wasn't that great until the fourth quarter. It was a quiet game for Vucevic, only 10 points, didn't shoot the ball all that well, going 4 for 11, but what was impressive was he had 4 steals and 2 blocks. People are always talking about how Vucevic doesn't play defense, but hey, when a shot isn't falling, he's doing other things to make himself useful. Now, what I mentioned in the group chat, if you were following along there, but as much as I love Patrick Williams, and I do believe in his future potential, I'm not sure if it's the best option to have him in the starting lineup. And let me explain, because I really just mean that temporarily. Patrick still seems to not be 100% himself after the ankle injury, and then of course the shoulder injury that he sustained in the last game, which was initially he was listed as probable before the game started and then ultimately was cleared to play. but he's still pretty slow in transition. His conditioning just isn't fully there. And like we saw last season, just still too timid on offense, pump faking and passing up on shots sometimes when he's wide open, rarely putting the ball on the ground and taking it to the basket. Again, I'm not saying he's, needs to be removed from the starting lineup altogether, maybe just for a handful of games while he gets his conditioning back and fully recovers from his injuries, because when a smaller Javonte Green was in the lineup, that's when things started to look electric for the Bulls. Not only is Green all over the place on the defensive end, swatting the ball away from guys, but he was also driving to the hoop for some highlight dunks. You can just see the pace at which the team plays when Green is running the four versus someone like Patrick. Again, I still love Patrick and I think he has star potential. We have to remember he's only 20 years old, but Green has really impressed me with his level of play. Green had 10 points on 4 for 6 shooting, while Patrick had 8 points on 3 for 5 shooting. Patrick was also a -4 in box plus minus, whereas Javonte Green was a +20. My guy Alice A. Johnson had a great game, only played 14 minutes, but put up 8 points and 8 rebounds. I just love the way this guy crashes the boards just because he's able to snag rebounds away from guys who have a good 5 inches on him. And then, of course, how about the GOAT himself, Alex Caruso? Did anybody else catch the MVP chance when he was at the foul line? That was pretty funny. It's also funny because Caruso didn't have a single steal or block in this game, but yet his defense is just absolutely stellar if you watch him play. And when it comes to pestering his man on the perimeter and the point of attack defense that we always talk about, it was also good to see Troy Brown Jr. have a better game tonight, especially on the defensive end. And he also hit a couple of threes as well. It's something that he's shown that he's been able to improve his game upon, that we saw also in the preseason. The Bulls as a whole shot the ball incredibly well, shooting 52% from the field and 50% from 3. A much better game when you look at their assist to turnover ratio as well. 32 assists compared to the 18 they had last game, and 14 turnovers, which 5 of those came in the final 5 minutes in garbage time. But despite those final 5 turnovers, the guys did a really good job at controlling the ball in this one. Vucevic also only had 4 rebounds tonight, but the Bulls were still able to crash the glass with 46 rebounds overall. This, again, is the type of game I love seeing from this Bulls team. The pace, the ball movement, the excitement, playing smart basketball, and beating their opponent handily when they're supposed to. Because let's be honest, the Bulls still have not yet been fully tested. Even the Pelicans, which aren't as good as the Bulls are, they have been playing without Zion Williamson. So it's a game they needed to come in and take care of business. They didn't mess around and got an easy win. And there is nothing more exciting than witnessing a game like that and then getting to see the Bulls back at it yet again tomorrow for a back-to-back. I will, of course, have a live chat for that game on the channel as well as on the Discord, so feel free to tune into that if you'd like. As always, guys, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.